Do you want to do the housekeeping for us, please, Gareth?
Yeah, Chair. I'll just wait for just so I've asked Liz to start the recording, Chair, and I'll just briefly run through the housekeeping. If I just remind everybody that the meeting has been recorded, and the recording will be archived for future reviewing. And if everybody any issues, can you please raise it through the chat function? The chat function is only be used to raise any technical issues. Thank you, Chair. Just very briefly.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any apologies for absence? I have already received them from Councillor Ian Buckley and Councillor Conway Hawkins. Is there anybody else, please?
None provided me, Chair, just as you indicated previously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Minutes of the meeting for the 27th of January, please. Now, I wasn't present for that, so if somebody who was there could put those forward, please. Okay, well, there's no demur, so I'm going to accept those as a true record. Thank you. Item number 3, then, please. Are there any declarations of interest? No? Okay, so we move on to reports from the voluntary sector. And I think it's going to be Linda up first, isn't it, for the forthcoming closure of Cardiff and the Vale Action for Mental Health. Linda.
Hello, Linda, are you there, please? You'll have to press your request to speak button. Middle of the screen at the bottom. Hello, Linda. Can you write something in the chat, Linda? That's it, Linda. It's the big. It should go red. That's it. And you may have your camera moved, off as well, Linda.
Have I? I thought it was on.
If it's gone red, it's off.
No, it should be on.
We're not seeing your picture, unfortunately. We can hear you, but we can't see you visually.
All right, it's saying it's on. So I don't know what. Sorry, I don't know what happens. What's happened there? It was working earlier.
Okay, Chair. If you're happy to continue, we'll have to carry on without Linda's camera. That's okay with everyone else on the committee, Chair.
No, I'm happy to do that if you're happy to go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, don't worry. Go on.
Technical glitch. Okay, so thank you. I just wanted to take the opportunity to let everybody know that Cavan will be closing at the end of September, so we'll be open to the public to the end of August and then closing, winding up over September. And to thank everybody for their support over the years, because it's been really valued to work with the Vale of Glamorgan Council and with yourselves. You know, really appreciated the connections and the support and the work that we've done with you and the resources. So thank you. So yeah, I suppose the main things are core funding from the Health Board has stopped as of the end of April. So we're now using our reserves to carry on and connect with all the voluntary sector groups with an interest in mental health that we support and people with lived experience until the next 6 months. And just to say, we're a bit concerned about what might happen in terms of the loss of that resource, because obviously we feel it's been quite useful in supporting groups and people with lived experience since 1993, actually, so over 30 years. And we've linked with huge, hundreds of groups really, and voluntary organisations and hundreds more people with lived experience. And I suppose we're concerned with that loss of resource, that there'll be a loss of support for the third sector and people with lived experience and the impact that will have. So just wanted to flag that really. And yes, so we've really valued the work we've done over the years. I know we've mentioned some of the things we've been doing over the years in the report. We're going to, our members hopefully will carry on through as our links with Mental Health Action Wales, which links with the Welsh Government and wider agencies, which enables local groups to have a voice at that national level, which is really important. And then we're working closely with GVS in relation to whatever we can share and ensure. I mean, I know our members are members of GVS as well, but to make sure everyone possibly can is a member. I suppose, yeah, just to flag up what we've been doing a bit. So we connect and provide support through networks and interest groups, a range of different interest groups. The latest being around, well, the main one is the Mental Health Forum for voluntary sector groups and anybody with an interest in mental health, and includes statutory partners and also interest groups, and most recently being one around nature and mental health, which has really grown, really valuable. Over 30 members, lots of new developments coming out of that, and new resources and services. And in relation to, say, counselling or diverse communities or substance use and mental health or housing, lots of different areas, whatever the wide range of our members are interested in, really, because mental health affects us all, everywhere. And we really valued the work. We also coordinate training, so we funded training in relation to mental health and wellbeing, and just brought more resources where we can to support that. In terms of information, we maintain the Mental Health Services Directory for Cardiff and Vale of Glamorgan, which is online, and directions, which is a directory and handbook for older people and carers in relation to dementia and mental health, and regular e-bulletins and Padlets and information sharing. And we've facilitated the service Cephalon Nexus, the service using care involvement development projects for a number of years, working with people linking with adult mental health services and people linking with dementia and older people's mental health service, and with children and young people's services as well. And I suppose we feel this will be an impact on Vale of Glamorgan. We've also worked in the last year or two with the council specifically and the council staff, which has been much valued in terms of peer-led training, in terms of co-production with social work staff in the mental health field, and in peer-led evaluation of people's experience of assessment under the Mental Health Act and the role of the approved mental health professional, which is a local authority role, which is we're just completing now, which has been very valuable, we feel. So we will be going. We're doing a bit more work now. We've got a mental health awareness event, the Mental Health Awareness Week, this May the 12th in Barry Library. So we're celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week with stalls and activities and presentations, and we're coordinating with our members with an interest in young people, a Young People's Voices survey, and workshops to gather the views of young people about what works well and what would make a difference, and their tips for young people on mental health and wellbeing. And we hope that could be available for everybody to use after as a resource for young people themselves. So that's something that we're rolling that out in May with our membership, and there'll be an event in June to share the results, and an event with young people and groups, to share that information, and a bit of celebration, really, and a thank you before we go. So I suppose that's just a quick fly, but we are a bit worried about the impact it'll have in terms of lack of resource, and we know it's a really stressful time at the moment for organisations and people with lived experience. The numbers of people with mental health lived experience are growing at the moment, aren't they, after COVID, and with all the impact of social media changes and employment and everything that's going on. So we just wanted to flag that up, really, and say thank you for all your support over all these years. That's it. So that's what I wanted to say, really.
Okay, thank you very much for that. My concern is that this provision will not be available elsewhere, and also obviously the people who are making use of your service at the moment, whether they are being effectively signposted to other services. In fact, are there other services able to pick this up? Rachel. Rachel Connor.
Thank you, Chair. in answer to your question, it will be quite a challenge to pick up the workload of such a brilliant organisation. To say that I was gobsmacked is an understatement when I heard that the Health Board were withdrawing funding to CAVAM. It's an absolute shocker. You know, we sit round the table with the Health Board, local authorities on the Regional Partnership Board, and there was very little indication that anything like this was going to be taking place. In fact, I don't believe that Linda's had a full and proper explanation as to why the funding has been withdrawn, apart from understandable constraints with regard to reduction in funding and challenges with funding. But it's going to be very, very difficult for all of us as partners, whether we're third sector organisations or statutory partners, to actually engage as effectively with people who have lived experience of mental health. That is going to be a big loss for all of us, and I'm not quite sure how that will be managed moving forward. We're all dedicated to developing preventative services and to working via co-production, to work together with service users, etc., to develop the right services for people. But without an organisation like CAVAM, there's a big hole in our planning mechanisms here, not just in the Vale, but across Cardiff as well. So it's really to say my shock and disappointment that the Health Board have withdrawn the funding, and how greatly we've valued and appreciated working with CAVAM over the years. It was originally an in-house project with the County Voluntary Council, with Intervol, which served South Glamorgan, and then ourselves. And we set them up as an independent organisation in 2001. So it's a great loss and a shock. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Linda, I don't know if you can address any of my questions about the concern. I mean, this will leave a gap, and whether other organisations are going to be able to fill that gap in provision.
Well, we're linking obviously with Rachel and GVS and to make sure that definitely all the people, members we connect with can connect with GVS where possible. And in terms of the interest groups, we're looking to see that the nature of mental health group, which is huge, it's just grown, it's really huge over the last year or so, and hopefully be able to continue on and in its own right and share emails and connect up. So we're hoping that network will definitely carry on. And I suppose we're just connecting in terms of the directory. I'm not sure what we can do about that, because as you know, directories take a bit of time to update. I mean, we can connect across to the voluntary councils, and we'll keep it on our website for a bit, but it's the time taken to update it that will be lost, won't it? But and in terms of, you know, we lots of the public do contact us in terms of where things are and what they can access. But we can make sure the voluntary agencies linking in the Vale have, you know, that there's signposting on our website when we leave. We'll leave it up for a bit, that they can signpost to voluntary organisations in the Vale, like Mind in the Vale and GVS, where appropriate. So I think we're doing all we can to make sure that people are signposted and can link across where possible. But I suppose our feelings, what's lost is that opportunity to connect together, because that's so important to make things work, isn't it? What keeps the things going is and the wheels turning is people connecting and sharing, developing new things. That's all part of the picture, really. So I'm not sure in terms of joint planning what's happening in future. There hasn't been a mental health partnership board for the past 3 years. So there might be plans to change that, but that where we link in terms of joint planning is right. It's quite key, and where people with lived experience and people with voluntary sector groups and interested in mental health can do that. We can link in with Rachel and GVS, that'd be great. And, anything we can do to link across to those joint planning agencies, that'd be great. And obviously there's this group that will carry on.
Sorry, my fault. Councillor Prothero.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Linda. Very, very sorry to have this news today from you. And obviously, we share your concern for our residents who have been relying on your service and all of the great work that you've been doing for so many years. I'm just wondering if, as Rachel has already said, there hasn't been an explanation from the Health Board on why and what. And my concern is, have they got a plan? Is there something else that's going to be replacing some of the work you're doing? I'm wondering if we should write to the Health Board and ask ourselves to try and find out a little bit more, because there will be obviously a gap. And as you've said, we are in an unprecedented time as far as mental health is concerned. So I'd like to know if maybe we could write to the Health Board and ask. Appreciate it's a very difficult position they find themselves in with funding, but do they have a master plan? It would be really good to know. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Gareth, is that something that we can undertake? I mean, grant giving organisations normally just withdraw without explaining why and without and expect people to just scramble to fill the gaps, don't they? Is it possible for us to write to the Health Board and ask for their reason?
Yes, Chair. You can obviously write on the behalf of the committee as Chair. But I can see that Tom's got his hand raised. Chair,
He has, yes.
To add.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, let's have your wisdom, please.
I'm not sure I can do wisdom, Chair, but I will do my best. I think, as Gareth was saying, writing to the Health Board to make those inquiries would be perfectly within the remit of the committee. I actually wanted to just add to some of the context that Linda and Rachel have both given this evening, and I know a large proportion of the funding was withdrawn as a result of some retendering that was done a few years ago, but this is now talking about the residual services. But in preparing for committee this evening, I had a conversation with a colleague in social care who Linda has been working very closely with and over a number of years. And as a local authority, we've obviously been funding CAVAM to provide that level of peer support and peer evaluation work. And when I was talking with colleagues earlier, they described Linda's commitment to the organisation and importantly to the people in need of support with their mental health as never having faltered. Delivered through kindness, compassion and the desire to improve systems for the benefit of people in need has been central to everything that Linda has achieved over the years. And they wanted to send their apologies for not being able to make the committee this evening, but did want me to pass on their sincere thanks for the work that Linda and the organisation have done for the people of the Vale over the years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda, so I think that as a committee, I'm not seeing anybody speaking against this. We can write to the Health Board and ask why they withdrew the funding and what do they envisage filling the gaps that are going to be left because of that lack of provision. I don't know if you would like to cooperate with perhaps Gareth and Rachel in order to make sure the letter is as informed as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chair, what we tend to do, Chair, I'll draft something and we'll share it amongst yourselves and obviously relevant officers and so for the final version I can send that off to the appropriate officer in the Health Board and I'll wait to reply when it comes through, Chair. Right,
that would be good. Rachel and Linda, are you happy with that, please?
Yeah,
Yes,
happy with that, Chair.
Excellent,
Yes,
excellent. Thank you. We're trying to get something very, very small, some small positive out of a really quite awful situation. Anyway, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Right. No, thank you. And Linda, I think that everyone would like to echo what Tom has passed on about your dedication to mental health and people who are,
That's really nice. Thank you. Really
Look, I
appreciate
know
it.
that people in the public sector very rarely get bouquets. It's normally brickbats. So, yes, I think we'd all like to endorse those comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's really much appreciated, really valued.
Good. Okay, can we go on to item 5, please? The local impact of national insurance increase on Vale of Glamorgan's third sector. I think, is this Rachel?
It is indeed, Chair. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's aware of the changes to national insurance contributions by employers. I guess one of the perhaps less understood impacts has been hitting the third sector. I mean, it's hitting many parts of our society, but small third sector organisations and medium-sized third sector organisations are taking quite a hit. And whilst it's completely out of the council's hands, I just felt that it was important that we raised the issue, which we have done with officers, but I felt it was important to raise it with members of the council as well. So we did undertake an exercise to contact our membership to ascertain what the impact was going to look like for organisations here in the Vale of Glamorgan. And as with any questionnaire, we didn't get a vast response back. I think there is a bit of death by questionnaire, isn't there, at the moment? Everybody seems to be sending out surveys. So the national policy change means that there is definitely a financial impact for third sector organisations. And obviously those larger agencies, such as the large national third sector organisations, the social landlords, etc., are going to be taking a massive hit with this. And from the figures that we had back, it worked out about £42,000 was the largest that we were going to see for Vale third sector organisations, but that there was an average figure was roughly 10k. We've got a staff of 11 full-time equivalent posts, and we will be facing an additional bill of just over £12,000 per annum. So it does place, as everybody understands, considerable pressure on limited budgets at a time of challenging financial environment. So it's kind of inevitable that those increased costs could well mean that some organisations have to reduce service. Some will perhaps not be recruiting to vacant posts as quickly as they would have done in the past. And by having a reduced workforce, you're then in a position where you're not likely to be providing perhaps the same level of service. So that could be an issue for some of the essential services for vulnerable people within the Vale of Glamorgan. And recruiting, retaining skilled staff, as I say, leading to possible staff shortages. We've actually just undertaken a recruitment exercise and didn't actually find that was a problem. But I know that other organisations, perhaps looking at dom care and support type roles, have been finding it extraordinarily difficult to fill vacant posts. So some of the organisations have raised concerns about the impact on their ability to maintain their current level of activity, and certainly looking at investing in future activities and projects is a major issue for them. Reliance on limited reserves is seen as very much a short-term fix. Once they're gone, they're gone. We all know that. We hear it from the local authority as much as you're hearing it from me in the third sector. We ourselves have received an uplift of 3.8% from the Vale of Glamorgan Council for 25-26, which equates to just under 4,000, so 3,700. But Obviously, our national insurance bill is about 12,000, so it's a help, but it's not covering all of that. Welsh Government have provided our type of organisation, a county voluntary council, with a one-off 7% uplift to try and make up for a 5-year period of no uplift in funding. So that's kind of evened it out, but it doesn't actually take away the sting of that additional 12k in national insurance. And we have not heard from any third organisation that Cardiff and Vale University Health Board have provided any uplift in funding for 25-26 for any third sector organisations. And obviously, we've just talked about Cavan, and we understand that there's a total loss of funding there for that organisation. So it was to bring to your attention the potential consequences, the increased pressure on local support networks, potential gaps in service provision, challenges for organisations delivering services that align with the council's own priorities, a possible reduction in volunteer numbers if people are having to take on additional paid work. Then that can impact on the time that people have to give as volunteers, and a possible increase in residents needing to use statutory services due to the reduction of third sector support. So again, it was to provide you with that sort of background information to raise awareness of the difficulties. This is one of many that are hitting the third sector, and I guess it really is about maintaining that open communication that we have such a good setup for here in the Vale of Glamorgan between third sector and the local authority, so that we can monitor the situation and just make sure that we are supporting and helping those organisations that need it, so that it doesn't lead to that impact on council services. So as I say, just by being aware of those implications, I would hope that we will be able to support as many third sector groups locally as we possibly can. Happy to take questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have a question, please? No. Okay. Oh, right, Tom. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Rachel. And I was, when I was getting ready for the meeting this afternoon, I was having a conversation with some colleagues in finance who have had some information through today from the tax firm that we use as an organisation to advise us on different matters. And we've been given some information relating to the changes around employment allowance associated with national insurance and the ability to make claims under that scheme at a greater threshold in the coming tax year than in the previous one. And I just wondered whether I must admit I hadn't heard of it previously, or its applicability to charitable organisations. But I just wondered whether that was something that the sector had a decent understanding about, and if they don't, I'd be more than happy for us to work together to do whatever we can to communicate the changes that the Chancellor introduced in the budget in the autumn that I must admit I hadn't spotted when we were looking at it.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Tom. Happy to receive any information that we can pass on to third sector organisations. The majority of them are aware of the various mechanisms that are in place to assist them financially, but some, including ourselves, fall outside of the overall remit that is there to support third sector organisations.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have a comment they'd like to make? Well, like what I'm going to say is, I suppose this is going to come out over the next year or so, and we'll be seeing what the real impact of this is, because obviously we're now into a new financial year where grants have disappeared, or as we know, or have lessened, or are going to be less useful because of the this increase. And it's really going to be the proof of the pudding in the eating, isn't it? So what I think we would welcome is kind of very regular updates on this, tracking volunteers, volunteer hours, activities that volunteer groups are able to undertake or not, because I think that's, we really need to see where the impact is falling.
Yeah, indeed, Chair. And I guess that those organisations that have contracts with the local authority, if there hasn't been the ability to give any uplift to cover the additional costs, then I guess it's those contracts that are going to have the greatest impact from this change to national insurance contributions.
Yes. Okay, I don't know if there's any actions we can take apart from asking you to monitor this really closely so we can see. And, I mean, my concern is that provision will decrease and there will be more gaps and people will fall through those gaps. And, the government is talking about getting people back to work and looking at people with, long-term mental health problems, and that information and support is just not going to be there in the way that we would like to see it. Because volunteers are just going to be thinner on the ground. And I know that we all share that concern. Right, does anyone else want to come in on this, please? Rachel, I'll go back to you.
That's really it. I guess the feeding back will depend on the sort of information that we can garner from our member organisations, but we'll certainly keep on top of that and keep you informed as to what impacts there have been. And perhaps the Section 16 forum that operates between the local authority and providers is a very useful mechanism for keeping an eye on that. I'm sure we'll be able to raise that as a topic on the agenda of the next Section 16 forum.
Thank you. And I think we would like to see an update on the next meeting. When is the next meeting, please, Gareth, of this committee?
I'll have to double check, Chair. It's probably every 3 months. So you're probably looking around July time, perhaps middle of July.
Yes. So, yeah, we'd be grateful for an update at that point.
Okay. Will do.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. Okay, Gareth, is there anything else that has been brought to our attention for this evening, please?
No other business, Chair.
Right. Linda, you've appeared on screen.
I couldn't work out how to put my hand up, but it's okay. It's from we've moved on a bit. I don't know. I just wanted to say, just back on the other point, my colleague attended a conference today for a coalition of small charities about funding, and one of the big large charitable trust funders was saying that all their funding for the next year will be going to fund charities' national insurance costs. So there'll be no money towards new services. It's going on funding national insurance costs. So just thought I'd flag that because that's
right. Thank you. Thank you. That would be interesting. And in the same way, if we could have a kind of monitoring of what's going on, and what effect that is having on the services provided, we'd be grateful, because we can't press for or try and get things changed if we don't know what the actual situation is on the ground. Okay, thank you very much for that, Linda. All right, if there's nothing else this evening, please, has anybody got anything that they feel needs to be raised, please? Gareth?
Nothing with me, Chair, other than I just checked, and the next meeting is actually the 16th of June, not July.
Right, okay. So I may see some of you, I may not, depending on what people volunteer for after the next meeting, the next full meeting. Right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for coming. Good night.